Going to give you some information. Okay, I'm going to give you some information about the contest, and we're also going to talk a little bit about lesson planning. This is going to be more of an informative session rather than an interactive session, because it's really just trying to give you information and guidelines as opposed to doing a professional development workshop. And also it's going to be a bit shorter than a normal workshop would be. So I won't take up too much of your time this evening. We are recording this session so that we can have this available. If there's a friend or a colleague who wants to attend but can't make it, we're going to offer this session again this Friday, same time, 7 p.m., Friday the 17th. And then we'll also have the recording posted on social media so that you can share or send to your colleagues. So if they want to get more information and they weren't able to make it tonight, no problem. We are excited to see so many people here. Wow, this is amazing and fantastic. This is incredible. Thanks for being here. All right. Here we go. Just a standard disclaimer that we are recording the event and that we may take a picture or a screenshot to use for publicity purposes. If you don't want your picture taken, that's fine. You can just turn your camera off, no problem. So welcome. My name is Katie Miller. I'm an English language fellow with the U.S. Department of State, working with Lingua Foundation. The National Olympiad is sponsored by the Ministry of Education and Science and also the U.S. Embassy in Kyrgyz Republic. What we'll cover tonight, we'll go over contest information. We'll talk about the parts of a lesson and a little bit about backwards design to give you an idea about what the contest is looking for in terms of your skills. First of all, why? Why a national contest? This is the 4th year of the Olympiad, and these are some of the reasons for starting and continuing the contest. Number one, we want teachers of English to learn more about communicative methods of language teaching, all right? So we want teachers to learn about the best practices for instruction to help their students acquire English. We want teachers and practitioners to really be using, research-based methods that work, and we want to pass that knowledge along. We also see this as a giant professional development exercise because a big component of this is self-reflection, not only reflecting on English language skills and teaching skills, but also how that looks in a lesson. And also, this is an opportunity to challenge yourself. It's a way to grow your skills and competencies by doing something different than just everyday teaching. And it's also fun. It's also a friendly competition that we want to get people excited about, showing off their skills and, competing. So this contest is for any English language teacher in a state-run or a private school. And the way that it works is that there are 3 stages to the competition. Stage 1 is an online test of English language proficiency, as well as communicative teaching methods. So this is an online test. It's multiple choice. There are 50 questions. They cover grammar, vocabulary, reading, and methodology of teaching language. That's step 1. That's going to be happening on December 9th. So just under 1 month from today, we will have stage 1 of the competition. And I hope that everybody participates in stage 1. Candidates with the highest scores will advance to the next stage, which is the original lesson plan. So candidates will submit an original lesson plan that demonstrates communicative instruction, communicative language teaching. It has to be an original lesson plan. It cannot be something that you copy from the internet. And it can be for any age level of students. If you're working with 6th graders, if you're working with 9th graders, any age student, any level. It can be for beginner proficiency students, A1, A2, B1, whatever. Any level is okay. And also any teaching context. like I said, a private school or a state-run school, everything's welcome. The lesson can also be on any topic. It can be a grammar lesson, it can be a reading lesson, it can be, the focus, the theme, the topic is up to you. And then those lesson plans will be submitted by December 30th. The deadline for submitting the lesson plans will be December 30th. So winners from stage 1 who are continuing on to stage 2, they're going to be notified on or around December 10th. So basically a day or two after the test, we will let you know if you're continuing to the next round. And then you will have basically 20 days to submit your lesson plan. But there's no reason you can't start, getting it ready now. Winners from stage 2 are going to be notified on or around January 30th, because we're going to need time to review your lesson plans, right? We have to read them and we have to spend the time that they deserve on reading them. And then stage 3. Stage 3 will take place in February of next year, and it will be an online interview where we're focusing on analyzing the lesson plan you created and also your reflection on it. So as a practitioner, as an educator, let's really talk this through. So that will be stage 3. The final winners will be announced at the beginning of April, and we will have an award ceremony later in April of 2024. So here's that same information, just presented more of in a calendar view. So right now we're in the preparation stage, and on December 9th is the online English test. The original lesson plan would be submitted by December 30th, and the interviews would take place in February with winners announced in April. Now it is a competition. So yes, there are prizes. Prizes in past years have been phones, laptops, computers, printers, some really great technology to use in your teaching. Official winners will receive a certificate. And you also have the opportunity to publish your lesson plan in Roundtable Magazine, which is a nationwide publication for English language teachers. I'm not sure if you've all heard or seen it, but it's a quarterly basically journal that comes out, and we'd love to include the winners' lesson plans in that. Okay. What supports are there? If you're thinking, this looks interesting, but I don't know. Well, we do have some online supports available to help you, not just for the contest, but beyond. So one thing is the online sessions. So we're going to be offering sessions on, kind of like guidelines for good instruction. Lesson planning, which we're going to talk about tonight, a big one on communicative methodology, and another one on adapting materials. There is also the opportunity to participate in a virtual professional development experience called VIP. It's a massive open online course, a MOOC, that's offered by U.S. Department of State's American English. Basically, the course consists of self-paced modules that you would complete on your own time. But there's also facilitators who will check in on your progress in the course and also run weekly discussion groups to kind of keep people on track, but then also give them a space to reflect on what you're learning in the class. The topics of the class are very different. It could be a class on STEM in English language teaching. It could be media literacy, methodology. And the goal of participating in these MOOCs, in this VIP professional development, is also to increase your speaking proficiency too, and give you a chance to practice. If you're teaching in a school and your students are 12 years old, they might be the only audience you have in everyday life to speak in English. So this is another space for everybody to kind of come together. Last year, we had about 24 groups in 7 oblasts completing the MOOC. We had, I think, just over 500 teachers completing this. And of course, there is a certificate for completing the VIP. There's 2 courses that are launching in the fall, and then there will be 2 more courses that will start in March. So like I said, it's not just about what we're doing now for the competition, but professional development beyond. So something to think about for next spring, for next semester, to take one of these classes. All right. So right now I want to pause. I want to see if people have some questions about the contest itself. And I have Idai here from Lingua here to assist me because she is the guru of the Olympiad. So if anybody, I'm looking through chat. I'm looking through the chat to see if anybody's put a question yet. I see some people were having some technical difficulties. It's always something with technology, right?
Good evening, everyone. This is Idai from Lingua. If you have any questions about the National Olympiad process, please you can just turn on your microphone or put your question on chat, and I will be happy to answer them.
Where we can get full guide for this Olympiad?
Okay, soon we will post a post in our social media. So make sure you follow our social media on Instagram. I will put on chat and our Facebook page, and you will be able to get more information about it. So the poster is coming this week.
How is your social media called?
Yes, I'll put it in the chat right now.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gumira. Can I ask you one question? So I work at Technical School of Innovation at American University of Central Asia, and I would like to ask you one question. Can I participate in that English Teachers Olympiad? Because my school is not school, but it's Technical School of Innovation. But I teach teenagers starting from the 10th grade, and they study here one more year, like 3 years after 9th grade. So then 10th, 11th, and one more year, 12th.
It's like kind of a college, or is it a high school?
No, it's called in Russian. We call it college, Innovaционный college in Russian. But in English, it's called the Technical School of Innovation.
Let me clarify this question from our donors, and I will get back to you. If you just can put your email address on the chat to me as a direct message, yeah, I will get back to you with an answer maybe by the end of this week. Thank you.
Thank
I also
there
see
was a couple
questions on the chat. Let me go through them.
Yes.
Is it only lesson plan competition or demo lesson included? As for the second round of the National Olympiad, it's only lesson plan. You don't have to film or send us a demo lesson. Like if you mean a demo lesson, like if you mean like filming or like taking a video of a demo lesson, no need. You just need to write your lesson plan and send it to us. Is it possible to show us a part about deadline again? Yes, the meeting will be recorded and it will be posted in our social media. Also, the poster is coming soon, so you will definitely get the deadlines. The third question, we just will write a lesson plan or we'll have a lesson. No, you ask for the second round. If you make it to the second round, because this is a competition, you go first and you participate in the first round of the National Olympiad, which is an English online test. And if you make it from the first round, if you take a good results, and if you make it to the second round, then you will write only a lesson plan and send it to us. Not to have any lesson, just your lesson plan. Is it possible to have access to past year winners' lesson plans? We have one that was published to the Roundtable Journal, and we can share with you if if you like how we can do it. Let me think how I can share this electronical version of the oh, gotcha. You can join us in Telegram. Let me write the address in Telegram, and we always put our journals to a roundtable journals to Telegram group. There you can find a roundtable journals, and there will be a lesson plan as in the winner's lesson plan as an example. I will write it down in the chat soon. And how do you plan to deal with plans generated by AI? Oh, good question. Katie, do you have an answer for that?
Well,
one of
I
the-
will say that that is a good question and a tough question, because even the AI checkers that are out there that are supposed to detect how much of content is coming from AI or is, even those are very flawed and not always correctly able to identify when something is written by AI or by a human. I'm going to say, because I am, if anything, an optimist, and I'm going to say that the people who continue on to stage 2 of the competition are people of integrity, and they are educators who expect the best from their students, and they expect the best from themselves. So they're not going to be using AI. Hey, ChatGPT, give me a lesson plan about grammar. Da, 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 da. I'm going to be an optimist and say that they're not going to do that. I think they don't need to. Let me just put it like that. I don't think there's any real need to have to do that. Anybody who knows what they're doing should be able to craft a good quality lesson plan without the assistance of AI.
Okay, great, thank you. These were the questions from the chat. Oh, one more. Is there any kind of rule writing a plan? Because our plans have a little bit different from American lesson plan.
So I'm going to get to that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's my next thing to talk about. So that's great that you have that question. I hope I'm going to answer that for you. And criteria for a lesson plan, that's coming up next, right? If you have another question, well, I'm going to continue with the next part about lesson planning and hopefully answer those questions. If anything else occurs to you, oh, here's a good one. Is it for local teachers or expats? Is there a ruling on that?
Oh, yes, the National Olympiad is for the local teachers, for the citizens of the Kyrgyzstan. Teachers who are citizens of the Kyrgyzstan. And there's one more rule. If you were winners of the last year National Olympiad, you are not eligible to participate in this year.
And I have one question, can I ask?
Sure. Let's take it last question and then we can move on.
Okay. How we can apply for this competition?
Excuse me, one more time.
How we can apply for this competition? Do we need some application?
Okay. As I said, the poster, the advertisement about the competition is coming soon, this week. And please just subscribe to our, join our Facebook page, Instagram page. There will be a registration link. You just need to go ahead and register there. And when you register, close to the Olympiad date, which is 9th December, we will send you a link to the first round test, English test.
So let's move on to talking about lesson planning. So really, to answer the one question about format, there is no prescribed necessary format for the lesson plan. There is no one template or one correct way to write the lesson plan. Everybody kind of does their own thing. Your institution might have a specific style that they require. There might be one way that you were trained on when you were becoming a teacher. Really, there is no, and in Roundtable Magazine, I have seen so many different examples of formats of lesson plans. So there is not one document style that you need to use, but you just have to have the elements of a good lesson plan, and how you organize that or how you type those out is up to you. So what should a good lesson plan have? A lesson plan should have an objective. It should be very clear what the goal of the lesson is. What are the students expected to learn in that lesson? And what skills will they practice? Is it a grammar lesson? Is it vocabulary? Is there a focus on speaking and listening? Is it a writing lesson? So what specifically, it should be very clear, oh, this was the big thing that the students were supposed to learn. It's not like, oh, wow, this is like a month's worth or a week's worth of teaching, but no, one lesson. As part of the objective, it should be suitable for the ages and the level and the needs of the students. So depending on your context, what grade you're teaching, if it's beginner level class or the type of school that you work in, that objective has to match your learner audience. Every good lesson plan should have a clear assessment. So how will you know the students learned the objective? If it was a lesson on writing, well, what's their writing that they're going to do that shows you that they learned what they were supposed to learn? And how are you measuring that, right? How much learning are you expecting in your assessment? Is it a formative assessment or is it a summative assessment? Is this lesson one part of a larger unit that maybe is 3 or 4 days long? And so right now it's just concentrating on a formative assessment. It's not a big giant summative assessment like a quiz or a test or a project. Your lesson plan should include any materials that you'll be using. If you're using a textbook, if you're using any technology, if there's any handouts that you've created or you've found, any additional papers that are given out to students, or any manipulatives, if there's any real objects that you're incorporating in the lesson plan, or maybe they need art supplies, or maybe, I don't know, whatever your imagination demands for your lesson. A good lesson plan should have a clear agenda, so we can see very clearly what is the sequence of activities and how does step 1 connect to step 2, step 3, step 4. So how does that flow from the beginning to the end of the lesson? Also, how much time is given for each part of the lesson, for each task? Is that an appropriate amount of time to complete what they're doing? Is there a warm-up? So kind of how do students warm up or kind of orient themselves to class before the lesson starts? What's the lead-in? And then how does the lesson close? How does it wrap up at the end so that you can include that assessment? Another component is your methodology. So how are you as the teacher introducing the new skills? How are you presenting it? How are you explaining or guiding students to that understanding that you want them to demonstrate? What kind of questions can you ask to check comprehension as you go through it? Also, interaction. So how will students apply their new skills with their classmates? So where do we see the students using the skills? Because we don't want just teacher explains, teacher explains, teacher explains, and then the students don't have a chance to practice it. And then finally, vocabulary. Even if I'm going to make the suggestion that even if it's a lesson on writing or reading, there should be some identified vocabulary that the students are going to be expected to learn or review as part of the lesson. So what's the target for practicing the vocabulary? Because we know that we need repetition of vocabulary. We know that the more vocabulary they have, the more they're going to be able to use English. So even if it's a grammar lesson, for example, there still might be some target vocabulary from the unit or from the topic that you want to be working with. Okay. Another way to think about planning a good lesson is the concept of backwards design, which comes from Wiggins and McTeague in their work on, quote, understanding by design. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with this, but basically in a nutshell, the tiniest summary I can give of this is that you start from your desired result, which is your assessment, and then you plan backwards for the rest of the lesson. So you don't start with you don't start your lesson with like, okay, when I walk into the room, how do I start my class? You start with, okay, by the time the 40 minutes or the 1 hour or the however many minutes you have with your class, by the time that's up, what do I want to see my students doing? Okay, so then I'm going to have them do this. And then that means I have to show them this, which means I have to ask them this, da, 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 da. And you kind of map it out in a backwards direction, because good teaching isn't, okay, let me walk into the room and see where we go. Good teaching has, I have a destination in mind. And so I'm planning the route to get there. So another visual of that, right? We identify the desired results. And then when you think about, okay, well, what kind of evidence do I need to see to know that the students learned it or the students can do it? So for example, if my goal is, I want my students to be able to write a paragraph about their weekend. I have beginner proficiency students. We're going to do paragraph. How was their weekend? Okay, so what evidence do I need? Well, they're beginners. I'm going to say I need to see at least 5 sentences. I'm going to need to see some regular past tense verbs and maybe some of the vocab that we've been working on. Okay, so now what's the sequence of activities I do with my class to get them to that goal? Okay, well, I have to teach them regular past verbs. We have to read examples. Maybe we do a shared writing. Maybe we edit some sentences together. Maybe we look at like keywords for past tense, like yesterday, last night, this morning, da, 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 da. Okay, all right. So then you put all that together and that makes the lesson plan. One other way to think about your lesson plan, and like I said, there is no prescribed format. There is no one document that we need everybody to fill out. But another way to think of the lesson sequence is the 4 Ps, according to ICAL-TEFL. The first P is present or preview. So this is where students see, they're seeing it. Okay, they're seeing that language for the first time, that new stuff. Maybe it's a new verb tense, maybe it's a new grammar, new vocabulary, whatever it is, a new writing, a new reading strategy. So they're seeing it for the first time. So you're presenting it or they're previewing it, or you're saying, hey, take a look at this. The second P is peruse. So let the students explore it. Let them try to figure it out, right? Okay, I'm giving the students this, and now they're kind of exploring. Maybe there's patterns that they're noticing, or maybe there's some guiding questions I asked them to get them to focus on the form or focus on the meaning. And maybe try to, I don't know, do you see a pattern here? Do you think there's a rule? What do you think's happening here? So the students are actually becoming active learners here. The next step is practice. Okay, so now that they kind of know how the structure works, they have to actually use it, right? And this could be a very controlled setting. This could be a simple activity out of a textbook where they're filling in a blank, or they have, the teacher, you're guiding them along through it. And then finally, it opens up to production. So we move from controlled to semi-controlled to finally to free exercise. So students are using that new structure in an open way, right? There's less, okay, it's not pick from these 5 things, but it's okay, speak about this, and you can use any of the words that come to mind that are important to you to express your ideas. So we're moving into the production phase where students get to really try it on for themselves. Okay, just some general things to consider about your lesson plan is prior knowledge. What do students already know about the topic? Is this the first time that they're seeing this, or is this maybe something that's review? How does this lesson connect to previous lessons? Is this building on something that was taught a week ago or a month ago? Where does this fit in a cycle? Like I said, if you have an assessment cycle, is this closer to the end where the students are getting ready to do a big summative assessment, or is this closer to the beginning where they're learning something totally new for the first time? By paying attention to prior knowledge of the students, you can also anticipate breakdowns. So as the teacher, where do you think students are going to have a hard time? Where do you think they're going to have trouble? They're not going to get it. They're going to be confused. So then how are you prepared to adjust instruction, right? They say that teachers make more decisions than surgeons at their jobs. The amount of decisions that we make in real time as we're explaining, as we're working with students is astronomical, the number of decisions we make. But we anticipate some of them. We say, oh, they're going to be confused when we do regular past verbs and I say ed, and then we read a sentence that says I went. I know they're going to be confused. I know they're going to, right? So we know, we kind of have an idea of what the students might be challenged by, and then, okay, how are we ready to address that? And then knowing our students, who might need some extra support, who might need a little bit more explanation or a little bit more coaching. And the other side of that, who is just going to take it off and run with this? Who needs less support? Who's going to be an independent worker? They're going to understand it right away. And then they're going to be sitting there bored. Well, what else do I have that could possibly challenge it or challenge them or extend the concept for them? And the final thing to consider in your lesson plan is timing. So your class, you know, I don't know how many minutes your classes are, could be very, very different amounts. What if you finish early? What if, congratulations, you got through your lesson and everybody understood it and they demonstrated that knowledge and it's awesome and you still have 10 minutes? What could you do to fill the time? What could you plan in, right? Just in case you find yourself having a lot of extra space. Or the other side of that, what if you run out of time? So what if you've planned a lesson for exactly 60 minutes, but at 60 minutes, the students still have not finished what you expected them to finish? So then how can you put in a note in there about how you would adjust that to carry over into the next class when you see them? So just some general things to think about, because like we said, we're not seeing the demo, right? We're not seeing you give the lesson live, right? So we can't see all of these things happening in real time, but we can see, oh, you thought this through. You really, really thought this through. And we're seeing that in the document of your lesson plan. One question about technology, is it necessary? No. A good lesson plan, listen, I started teaching way before cell phones, okay, way before smartphones and all of this, and I had zero technology in my classroom, and my students learned English very well. Thank you very much. Okay, so a lesson doesn't have to use technology to be good, right? Depending on where you teach, you might not have it available. There might not be the technology resources, or maybe all your students have phones, but maybe the internet connection is not always good. So technology can enhance a lesson, but it's not a replacement for all of the other elements, okay? And having technology in your lesson doesn't automatically make it a winner, because it's just one method of instruction. It's one material. So I don't want people to freak out thinking like, oh, mine's not fancy enough. Mine's not 2023 enough. Like, no, you're fine. If you want to incorporate some technology, you can think about slides. You can think about PowerPoints for presentation or for materials for the students to view. You can think about videos that you might show or audio that you might play. These might be part of the curriculum or the textbook series that you're using. Websites that give students practice or give students something to interact with, or even apps. You know, apps for a phone that students might be using. Oops, I just turned my camera on. Yeah, so like I said, technology is not it's not the number one most important thing. Okay. Let's check the chat. Let's see if there's any burning questions that have come up. So yeah, we're gonna, if you join the Telegram group that's put in the chat, you'll find past issues of Roundtable magazine, so you can see example of the winning lesson plan. Thank you, Idai. Number 12 has a lesson from one of the winners. And this session will be recorded. We'll put it everywhere. Yeah, so just please follow Lingua on social media, watch out for the announcements. And just be ready. I'm just so excited that there's so many of you here tonight. And I hope that you all at least try round one, sign up for it, and just challenge yourself and, tell a friend. Because I have been observing teachers all over this country, and I have seen amazing things. I have seen really fantastic lessons, and I think the more we can show off our skills and feel good about the important work that we're doing, and then also learn from each other and share our materials with each other, it just makes the entire community stronger and more proud. And there's my obligatory references. AI did not create this presentation. It was created by a human. The theme of the lesson, it can be anything. It can focus on any one or a mix of some different language skills. It could be any topic. It could be about the environment. It could be about healthy eating. It could be about the legend of Lake Issyk-Kul. It could be about anything. Well, if there's no, if you have any burning questions, please feel free to ask them. If you don't have a question right now, but you get a question, feel free to reach out to us.
Can I ask a question about first round, about
Yes.
English test? So it's same to TOEFL test? It will be same to TOEFL test or IELTS?
No, it's not the same as
which
the
kind of
TOEFL or the IELTS. It's a locally created test. It is it's 50 questions. There's some on grammar, some on vocabulary, some on reading, and then some on methodology. But it's not like the TOEFL. It's not as long as the TOEFL or anything.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I think it's
Thank
50
you very
questions.
much.
I think it's an hour and 20 minutes to complete it. I'm pretty sure. An hour and 20 minutes. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Yeah, the lesson plan would be written in an expanded form. So there would be a narrative, however you decide to organize it, however you decide to create your sections, you would write out, we don't just want to see, short for, sometimes you plan a lesson on the back of a napkin, right? Sometimes you plan a lesson like, oh yeah, I should do that. I should do that. Right. So, we want to see all the thinking that goes into the lesson. So an expanded form is what we want to see. Thanks. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here tonight. Hope to see you in stage 1.
Sorry, Kathy, one more question.
Of
Can
course.
we take activities or exercises from the textbook?
Yes, certainly. If you're using a textbook and, that would be normal. We don't want you to create something that's totally on another planet from what you do in your daily life, right? So if you're using the 6th grade textbook, or if you're using this series by Cambridge, then the exercises that are in the book can certainly be part of your lesson plan. Okay, page 72, exercise 1, but then, tell us what that is. Oh, students are working in pairs. They're reading they're making questions with the words, and then their partner has to answer them based on the picture. Like, you can also include a picture of what that exercise looks like so that we can see, oh, okay. But we also challenge you to not just use the textbook, right? So just, hi, here's my warm up. Here's our topic for the day. And then they do 3 exercises in the textbook and that's it. That's a little thin, right? We don't see your influence necessarily there, right? So think about how you could extend things beyond the textbook or adapt them or, have fun with it. But yeah, it's certainly okay to include things from a textbook.
Mm, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm. Thank you for your such a great job to support our English teachers, to
You
help
know,
us,
thanks for
to change us, to be a good teacher.
I'm serious. I have been observing teachers and I am just blown away at how dedicated they are and how good they are too. And I'm just like, man, you know, I need some of my colleagues. I need some of my colleagues in the United States to, you know, view some of these things too. But
Hello, Kathy.
no, thank you. Thank you for all the hard work you're doing.
Thank you
Teachers
for
are
Okay,
your
thank you
awesome.
very much,
Yes.
everyone. Thank you, Katie, for your presentation. Thank you for all our participants today's online session. Make sure you join us again on 17th. There will be we will repeat a little bit the information about National Olympiad, but also we'll talk about communicative methodology on the second part of the presentation. So please make sure to come back on Friday, same time, same link, and we will be waiting everyone to participate in our National Olympiad first round on December 9, and the advertising post is coming soon to our social media. Okay, everyone, have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Have a good evening too. Bye-bye.
Kathy, I also want to say you thank you. You did a great job for us, for teachers. It was very difficult for me to join this group, this Zoom group, and I'm very happy that I have joined you. I'm very happy. I'm glad to see.
I'm sorry. Whenever there's technology issues with the trust me, I know them. I know those issues. So I know it's frustrating. But thanks for being here. And if you missed anything, it's recorded. And if you have any other questions, just feel free to let us know.
I have wait 5 minutes to join this